The saved database, a strategic threat to 2026 orchestrating voter suppression through data manipulation. The confluence of a substantial investment, purportedly a meeting with Donald Trump, and the proliferation of disinformation surrounding election integrity presents a critical strategic vulnerability. This situation leverages a demonstrably flawed and potentially weaponizable database, the systematic alien verification for entitlements saved, to undermine voter confidence and potentially manipulate the 2026 election.
The core issue is not simply the existence of inaccurate data, but the deliberate application of this data to coerce states into adopting a system designed for benefit eligibility rather than citizenship verification, creating a highly susceptible target for manipulation.
Data-driven disinformation campaign exploiting systemic flaws for political gain. The strategic framework here rests on a multi-pronged attack, utilizing Trump's established narrative of election fraud coupled with the technical manipulation of the saved database. The initial impetus stems from Trump's executive order directing DHS and the DOJ to enforce a restrictive voting list based on the flawed saved data.
This action seeks to exert pressure on states, threatening criminal prosecution for ballot distribution to individuals not on this list, effectively creating a coercive environment. The underlying driver is a desire to consolidate power by limiting voter participation, specifically targeting populations perceived to be vulnerable to misinformation.
Operational mechanics and data vulnerabilities. Unpacking the flaws of the saved database. The operational mechanics involve several key components: the initial creation of the flawed list through DHS and the Department of Justice, leveraging the saved database's inherent inaccuracies, the subsequent deployment of this list to coerce states into adopting the system, and finally, the potential weaponization of the UST to restrict ballot distribution. Critically, the saved database, originally designed for benefit verification, contains incomplete and outdated data, as evidenced by the significant error rates observed in Missouri and Texas.
The DOJ optimization of the saved database, adding social security numbers and facilitating bulk uploads, exacerbated these vulnerabilities, creating a highly sensitive system ripe for manipulation, and, ultimately, the disenfranchisement of eligible voters.
Projected consequences and strategic response. Navigating the risks of a manipulated election. The strategic verdict indicates a significant risk to the integrity of the 2026 election, predicated on the continued utilization of the saved database and the escalating efforts to suppress voter turnout. Predicted consequences include heightened legal challenges, increased voter distrust, and potentially significant electoral shifts driven by the manipulation of voter rolls.
Immediate strategic next steps necessitate a coordinated effort by election officials, legal teams, and civil society organizations to expose the flaws of the saved database, advocate for robust voter verification protocols, and actively challenge the coercive tactics employed by those seeking to weaponize this flawed system. A defensive strategy predicated on transparency and proactive mitigation of data-driven disinformation.